Hey, everybody. How's things in your neck of the world? I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are. Now, hey, today's guest. Well, look, if you're new, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for showing up. What we do on the show is we talk with top agents, coaches, and authors all around the world of real estate. If you don't sell real estate, that's okay. This show is about entrepreneurship through the lens of an agent, and the things that we talk about, you can apply to what, if you're a plumber, you know what? You can use these strategies. Okay, look. Today's guest is he's a young guy. It was actually, if you listen to this early on, I recorded this. You can't believe how far I am ahead in terms of recording. This one I did like way before the summertime because I ended up meeting this guy this summer in Orlando. Went out to the Keller Williams event and I met him there. Young guy. About a $50 million producer, so top producing guy. Here's what we talk about. We talk about consistency, especially early on. What he did, and how consistency helped him just do a slow burn up to $50 million a year. We talk about how he did again early on. He had no leads, he had no list, and no money, so he did open houses. And then this guy was super, super personal with the people that he met and he chatted with, whether that was at an open house, whether that was at the grocery store, and he, utilized handwritten notes. Very personal, very powerful. He also did some door knocking. We talk about that. And then he started to branch out, again, trying to build his list, trying to build his reputation. And we talked about how and what boards. Now, he went and got on nonprofits, right? The boards of a nonprofit. It's always a great thing to do. And then we talk about actual leads, right? Like, where he's buying internet leads, how to buy internet leads, where he's buying them. That's it. All right. Listen, I'm releasing this, late July, 2015. The day this is going out, I'm going to be in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So if you are in Jackson Hole, you got to send me an email. I'm there for the 30th and the 31st, and then I'm off to Yellowstone. So would love to meet up with any of you guys while you're out there. So send me an email. That's it. Okay. Oh, real quick. Always a little bit of housekeeping. You don't want to miss future episodes. So what you're going to want to do, go to the site, go to superagentslive.com, download my free ebook. Get on my list because, I share a lot of stuff with my list that I don't talk about on the show. I try not to burn too much time, and the only time I burn is in the beginning here. So that's it. Get on my list. I would love to meet you out in Twitterland. My hashtag for the show is the hashtag is Unpack That Idea. My Twitter handle is @SuperAgentsLive. All right. Hey, let's get to it. I hope you like it. Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first $1 million in real estate. Yeah. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah.
Today on the show, today's guest, I think you're going to like his story. Now, let me give you some stats for him. He's got a total of 10 team members. Now, what's a little bit unusual about that is he does all the listings. He has 2 buyer's agents, but for 3 agents, he has 7 admin. So I want to understand why he's so heavy in that category. Last year, he did 200 transactions. It was 50-50, just about, buyers, sellers, for a total of volume of $60 million. And this guy's in Nashville, Tennessee. Hey, I'm thrilled to welcome Josh Anderson. Hey, Josh, thanks for taking the time out today.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity.
Now, listen, I've given the audience a brief nuts and bolts overview of what your business looks like. But before we get into your business and what's working and what's not and why you've structured it the way you have, I always like to get a feeling for who you are. So, who the man behind the machine kind of a thing. So, take a couple minutes and tell us about yourself.
Sure. I'm originally from Nashville. Lived here for about 10 years, then moved to Louisiana. Went to LSU for college, and then came back to Nashville. It was kind of a no-brainer for me. I've got family here, but there were no other cities that were just overwhelmingly, me going back to. So came back to Nashville, graduated in finance and economics, worked at an investment bank I did kind of an extended internship. Then I worked at a private client asset firm, just outside of Nashville in downtown Franklin, and worked there for about a year. And it just, something else was kind of calling my name. And so in the meantime, I was getting my real estate license to buy a couple of investment properties. Realized that it was, something else that I wanted to do. I ended up getting my license in April of 2006, which was, just enough for me to kind of see the tip top of the peak of the market, and it kind of went down from there.
Kind of.
Well, yeah, it was on a pretty strong downward trajectory from there. But for me, getting in the business and not really knowing anything, I don't think you really know whether you're getting into a good market or a bad market.
Yeah.
So the couple of things that people always told me were really just the basics. It was, get in front of as many people as you can, call as many people as you can, ask them for the business, stay in front of them, follow up, do more than you say you're going to do, write a bunch of handwritten notes. And those were all things that I did. And I did, I always tell people it was consistent persistence. And so it was just going in. I know a lot of new agents and a lot of agents that are in business. They're always looking for that new silver bullet or the next thing that's going to make them a bunch of money. And at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. It's about relationships. It's about asking for the business, and whoever shows up and does that consistently wins.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And literally in that last 2 minutes, like that, boom, that's it. That's your interview. You've said it all. But hold on. So you are obviously a smart guy. You go to LSU, finance and economics. I was a sociology guy, so I couldn't hack finance and economics. But then you get into an investment bank. You were on the track that everybody who graduates with that kind of a background wants to be, right? Go to an investment bank, you join Arthur Andersen, and boom, boom, boom. Why didn't you? I know you said earlier, well, something else was calling my name. What was it about, working in an investment bank and then going private client that didn't suit you?
I think the biggest thing was, I think when you graduate college, you have this sexy idea of what your first job's going to be or what it can be. And, I got into it and I just realized, whether you're in a cubicle or you're in an office, putting me in a square box is not good. I've got a big personality. I'm a lot of energy. I like to be around people. I like to light up a room. That's just what I do. And sitting in an office or a cubicle really just didn't do it for me. The other piece was I wasn't being challenged. I wasn't being mentored. I just was kind of sitting at my desk certain days going, man, there's got to be more to this. Making $31,000 a year out of college.
Right.
It just wasn't what I had in mind. And my first year in real estate, I from a gross number, I tripled that income. And I probably spent all of it and more just putting it back into the business and continue, that's all I did was.
Yeah. It's funny. I think I hear you. I get it. And I'll tell you, I'll briefly, this is about you, not me, but, I went to UCSD and I painted houses, and I was making about $50,000 a year, and literally was working in the summer. And then I had, in the class, and I have other guys working for me. My first job, same thing. I go out there, I went to finance, and, base salary of $28,000 plus commission. I'm like, well, hold on. I just took a pay cut, and I'm working full time. It's crazy. So, okay. So you have a big personality, you like to take charge of a room. So you got into 06. What did you do? Right. Again, you're obviously a smart guy. You know how to think like a business. What were some of the first things that you did, other than the basics of you called everybody? You know what to do, but what did you do?
Yeah. So people always ask me this, and we'll go more into depth in a few minutes, but, it's one of those things, everything I tell people, it literally is, it's not sexy, it's not exciting. I just do the same thing over and over. I mean, my 5-year-old son, begged me all week last week to come to work with me, so I brought him on Sunday after we went to the donut den and to church, and literally an hour into it, he was like, Dad,
Right.
this is not fun.
Right.
So, but I do it. It's just consistently going in and doing those same things over and over. My first year in the business, I did open houses literally every Sunday and probably most Saturdays as well. I door knocked. I wrote a ton of handwritten notes. And the reason for that was because growing up, my parents were like, a phone call is nice, a handwritten note is nicer or better. And it's so easy to send an email these days, but I do send a lot of handwritten notes to people. And so it's one of those things that those are really the thing. I mean, it was picking up the phone. It was calling for sale by owners. One of the first listings, maybe the first listing I ever had, was a guy that he was for sale by owner, and he literally, I called him, emailed him, just continued doing it over and over, sending him postcards. I didn't know what else to do. Finally, he calls me one day, and he's on my website while we're talking on the phone. He's like, "How old are you? You look like you're in high school still." And I said, "Well, if I can get your home sold, why does it matter how old I am?
Yeah.
I mean, if I can do a better job of what you're doing right now, and I ended up, that was the thing that got me the listing appointment. And then I got there and I got the listing. And on your first listing, it doesn't matter if it's $100,000 or $1 million. It's like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
What you've been waiting to get a listing. But to go back to your question, I mean, it literally was just writing a lot of handwritten notes. It was doing open houses for other agents in my office. And I don't know that I closed many deals off of open houses. I don't know that I closed any. I think it was just getting comfortable in front of people, talking the language. And so it was a lot of just grinding out. I was previewing a bunch of houses. I was learning different zip codes. Just a combination. I mean, you're working 80 or 100 hours a week just trying to take it all in and learn it as much as possible.
So what do you think is one of the things that your first listing, whether it's a $50,000 or $500,000, it's a thrill. What's one of the things that you stumbled upon and you said, "Oh man, this is it. Okay, now I have a channel. Now I have, this is something I'll always do."
I think one of the big things, I mean, as far as, again, I kind of go back to, I know a lot of agents in our business work from home or work from a coffee shop. I come into the office every single day, and I always have. I can't really work from home. I just don't mentally. I just can't. It's my home. And so I come into the office and I do those things consistently. Some of the things, agents ask me starting out, what would you tell a new agent? Build your database and feed it every day. The better you feed it, the better it is. The more information you can provide it, the better. I work a lot off of my database, and it's also everybody on my team has to go through lots and lots of scripts training, because I just think that, if you know your scripts really well, nobody can ever really tell you no. They can maybe say not right now, but if you have an objection handler for every objection that's out there, they can't ever really tell you no. So I work that's a big piece of it.
Well, okay, but there's two things there, right? And so you build your database and know your scripts. Now, so that's great to say, build your database, but fundamentally, mechanically, what are some of the best ways you found to add names and numbers to your database?
I think the biggest things I did starting out were, it was open houses. Everybody had to sign in. It was also getting on, volunteering for a nonprofit or getting on a board and kind of starting. You can't put it down people's throat as far as what you do, and it's just got to be a byproduct of it. So for me, it was just getting in front of as many people and then kind of casually touching them or putting them on an 8x8 or a 12 direct or some kind of campaign, whether it was phone calls, emails, hey, let's go grab coffee and let me learn more about your business. Always trying to, it's a numbers game, but it's also the quality of your relationship.
Yeah.
So I think some of these people, when I get on panels or talk at different conferences, people go, well, I get, 1,500 leads a month. Like, okay, well, why do you need 1,500 leads a month? You're doing 100 transactions and you're getting 1,500 leads a month. That just means you're spending a lot of money and your conversion rate kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Of course.
To feed that database, I think there's tons of different ways of doing it. But for me, it was just getting out in the community and volunteering and just talking to people that putting yourself in uncomfortable situations as far as just getting out there and meeting people that you otherwise wouldn't meet. I mean, it's easy to, I think kind of a second job for me, my first probably 3 years in the business and probably always, but hardcore for the first 3 years was networking was my second job.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that gray area. Maybe you work 60 hours a week, but the other 30 or 40 hours you're out, whether you're grabbing coffee or lunch or beer or you're at a board meeting or you're doing some kind of event. I mean, when I first got into real estate, we couldn't afford to go, pay to go to some of these events that we like to go to. So we volunteered for them. And that, we got there early, volunteered, met all the volunteers, met the executive director of whatever the event was. Those were good things for us to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so I think one of the things that you're dancing around, and let me sort of say it is, when you join a board of a foundation or a nonprofit, and then you have your farm, and then you have your networking groups or meetups or whatever. Why those having multiple channels? And I'm this is a statement, but I want to get your opinion. Those are all different channels where you can find leads. But what is important about them is there's no overlap. And I think having multiple channels with little to no overlap is extremely important.
Sure.
If somebody's going to do that, Josh, they're going to go out and network group, board, whatever. How many different lead generation channels do you have?
We probably have. I mean, we have several, but I'd say that we really focus on 3 to 5.
Yeah.
When you look at where, I don't know, 80, it's kind of the 80-20 rule. 80% of our business probably comes from 3 to 5 sources. And that's kind of, our sphere of influence. And I'd probably group sphere of influence into, past clients and referral sources, agent referrals around the country. I mean, we closed like 27 or 28 deals on the buyer side just in 2014, and then another probably 12 or 14. So maybe 40 deals total. Almost 20% of our business came from agent referrals around the country. And that wasn't necessarily just Keller Williams agents. That was just speaking at different places and people hearing me and,
what's crazy?
Letting those people know that we're from Nashville and we service Middle Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, and I'm in San Diego, and obviously we have a big listener base. I think I'm blowing. I'm not a licensed real estate agent. I just happen to know. I flipped a lot of houses, and I happen to know a lot about real estate from this show. But I should get my license, and I wonder how many referrals I could get from my audience. That's craziness.
Probably a lot.
Probably a lot. I need to put some thought into that. So okay. So I'm sorry, I don't think you told us all. So you said 3 to 5. So sphere of influence.
Yeah. So sphere of influence being past clients and regular referral source. The agent referrals, historically expireds have been quite a good. I don't work as the expireds as much anymore. I have somebody that calls on those expireds. Our builder business has taken off in the last 12 months. And we don't work with any big national builders that you would know. There are a lot more of like infill type projects, 8 to 10 builders that we work with, and they don't work exclusively with us, but we probably did I probably did 40 deals last year that were new construction, all from me finding properties and then bringing them to builders and them having investors in the background doing, that kind of thing. We do radio. Those are probably 4 or 5 of the big, really good. I mean, that's the majority of it. And then we get little things here and there. I mean, yeah, we have good internet presence. We have a great internet presence. But that's not fundamentally. It's part of our lead generation and part of what we get business from. But I wouldn't say that it's a majority. I mean, some of these agents get caught up in the boom towns and things like that, and they're great. They're great systems. But I mean, you have to almost have. You're paying for that. You almost have to have an inside salesperson just dialing on those things constantly, because an individual agent, they get busy showing properties and then they can't do that. They can't focus on that. So I think people see other big agents doing the internet, and they do it because those agents are doing it, not because they understand why.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of follow the leader that happens in this industry.
And things like Tiger Leads and Boomtown and Conversion, they're all great if you use them. It's kind of like databases. Everybody always asks, which one's the best? What's the one that you're going to use? Yeah. And so, it's great, but those systems are expensive. I mean, you can't justify. You got to be closing 3 or 4 or 5 deals a month if you're paying $2,500 a month for those. I mean, after a little while, it just doesn't make sense if you're not, especially if you have a team. I mean,
well, you have
the way we're set up.
Sorry, yeah. I was just going to throw in here real quick for I don't want people to get confused. Things like a Boomtown or Tiger Leads, those are meant for a team. You really should not be an individual person. And I get that email all the time. Hey, Toby, I'm doing this. Is Boomtown right for me? Look, Boomtown's great. It's not. You get a team, and the way that those people who are winning using a Boomtown or Google pay-per-click, they have 3 buyers agents sitting there, and that's all they do is cultivate those leads.
And we have an inside salesperson that literally calls all of our sign calls all of our internet leads. I mean, whether they're Zillow leads or what, that's their one job. Their one thing is to sit back there all day and update the system with notes, put ticklers in there, put people on different campaigns and that's all they do. And they just dial all day long.
I want to know how you're getting, what the extent of internet leads for you. But before, I'm gonna totally shift this for a second. I just realized that you're a Keller Williams person. We're recording this end of January. February's first part of February, family reunions happening. Are you going to go?
I am.
I'm going to be there, and this is for everybody in the audience. If you're a Keller Williams person, if you're going to go to a family reunion, let's all meet up, and we could do a mastermind or hang out, have some beers, whatever. But I'm going to be there February 6th. I'm flying in, and then I'm staying for the weekend and flying out February 9th. So you and me, Josh, let's for sure hook up. And anybody in the audience, send me an email. So going back to internet leads. What are those channels? Is it just Zillow, or where else do you do Google pay-per-click?
No, we do. We have several different. So we do have Zillow, but we don't. We only have our listings on Zillow. So back in 2011, 10, 11, and 12, I mean, we killed it on Zillow. When Zillow went public, I think that they just they had to start charging more. I mean, we were literally paying $105 for 2 zip codes a month, and they were awesome zip codes.
Yep.
And I mean, my ROI on that for every dollar I was spending was like $12 or $15.
Oh my God, that's cool.
And in the last year that I was doing it, I mean, we weren't closing anything because it went from actual clicks to impressions, and they went public at the same time, and they were having to provide certain things. And I just think that they lost focus of who was paying for those things. I know that it's still very valuable for some people, but I think that if those people really broke down what they make off of Zillow, it's not what they think it is.
I will tell you. I will tell you this is literally nobody that has been on this. I mean, again, a year ago, it was working. Now. It's not working for anybody. I don't know anybody that it's working for in terms of generating a decent ROI.
The only thing that The only thing that I've heard that works, this was probably 6 or 9 months ago, was their pre-foreclosure stuff. That there were a handful of agents that were killing it on it because they'd only rolled it out in a couple of cities, and but outside of that, like we just get our listings because we feel like for $150 a month for up to 50 listings, like those are our listings. We deserve those leads. We shouldn't actually have to pay for them, but it is what it is. It's,
Yeah.
But we use conversion. So we have NashvilleRealtySearch.com. It does good, but those are kind of hit or miss. I mean, the best internet leads we've had lately, Zillow's been good. We've got some community pages on Facebook, and we boost some of our Facebook, for our Anderson Group page, we boost some things on there, like our listings, and, some of it we target friends of friends or friends of people that like the page, but a lot of it is actually targeted, and we get some great interaction and we put one on recently, and we had 49,000 people that viewed it.
Wow.
And we had like 120 comments on it. I mean, it was it was amazing. It was amazing how many people commented on it. And it was also amazing how many people were, it was interesting to see how many people were knowledgeable about the market and how many people were so far off on the market. And it's in a very hot area, neighborhood within Nashville. But it was just so interesting to see how inaccurate people were and how much they just didn't know what was going on around them as far as real estate goes.
Yeah.
When everybody talks about real estate. Real estate's not like life insurance. I mean, everybody, doesn't matter if you're in the grocery store, doesn't matter if you're at the tanning bed or, a dinner. People are talking in some capacity about real estate all the time. Life insurance, not so much.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. I want to talk a little bit about systems and why you have 7 admin people. But out of all the stuff that you're doing, other than your sphere of influence, what is working for you?
I think the one or two things that are really working for us right now, I'd say, over the last couple of years. Radio is consistent. It's expensive. It's expensive. When I say expensive, it's not actually expensive. It's expensive. So overall, it's expensive. So it deters a certain amount of agents that can't justify it or afford it. But when we look at what the combination of how many leads we get off of it and the combination of branding and marketing that we get off of it, it's very affordable and it's very justifiable. But an individual agent probably can't justify spending $2,500 or $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 a month off of it.
Yeah. I didn't know you were doing radio. Who are you doing it with my competitor, or are you doing it on your own?
No, I'm doing it on my own.
Got it.
But we had somebody in my office that was using your competitor that had no results off of it.
Yeah, interesting, man.
I say that nice.
Yeah, wow.
So, but I mean, it's probably, it's that. And I mean, at the very, very end of the day, I know people don't like to pick up the phone and call people they know, but that's our number one source is calling agents around the country, doing panels and calling our past clients and our referral sources and our sphere of influence. I mean, that's the number one, hands down.
Oh, yeah.
Probably 40%. I actually want less of my business to be that, because if I ever want to expand into other markets,
yeah,
I have to get that number probably down.
Yeah.
So I can take the Anderson Group can go to other areas within Middle Tennessee. I mean, we've got 7 or 8 offices in Middle Tennessee. I could have an agent or 2 in every one of those, but obviously if that's the case, we would keep a hub here in Nashville to kind of run the business. And we wouldn't ever have that many referrals in all those other, it wouldn't be that high.
Right.
But to answer your question, I guess it would probably be, it's been consistent in the last 12 months. It's been radio, and it's been my builder business.
Yeah,
builder business takes a long time to work, but once you get that niche, whether you're doing the national or the regional guys, or if you're doing like what I do, mine's more spec builder infill projects, kind of the core around downtown, midtown, things like that. It takes a while to figure all of it out, and the zoning and different things like that. But once you figure it out, you know who the real players are,
right,
as far as who has money and who's just talking a big game. And it's been a really good. I mean, we'll have 50 or 60 properties in the first 2 quarters come out of the ground. It's new construction.
That's fantastic. And I think that's a channel, to be totally honest with you, working with builders. Now, you can't do it in every market. It just doesn't. It's not necessarily going to work here in San Diego, but it does work where you're at.
Right.
I think that's a channel that very, very few people are trying to tap. And I don't know what you're seeing in your market, but me talking to people all around the nation, very few people actually have a builder, partner that they're working with. So let's. I want to start wrapping up here a little bit, but so talk to me, Josh. You're seven admin and 3 agents. Help me understand that.
Yeah. So I probably err on the side of having too many admin at this point, but I mean, we're doing 200 transactions. We're doing 15, 20, 25 transactions a month. Probably on the higher end of that because there's a certain fallout rate. So 5 years ago, I had one admin, and looking back on it, I can't believe she did as much as she did, and I can't believe that I asked her to do that much stuff. So I mean, I was your typical real estate agent. I was like slave driving her, but it wasn't because I meant to. It was because I didn't know any better. I didn't know what one person could handle because I'm a workhorse and I always try to work smarter, but a lot of times I find myself just grinding it out, and I just expect other people to do that. And so I gave her, all the contract to close stuff, and I threw some of the marketing at her, and I got her to do some of the website, social media stuff. I was just throwing stuff on her. I didn't know, tell me when your plate's full, or if it's, things are falling off the plate. I don't know. Unless you tell me, I don't know. And so she did a great job. She took us to 78 transactions. That was four years ago, maybe, before she found another opportunity, and it was a better opportunity. I couldn't compete with it. So since then, I've just kind of gone the other end. I've got one guy I've got 3 virtual assistants. One just does my database. One is kind of an assistant transaction coordinator, and one just does circle prospecting. And then I've got, we always keep an intern from one of the local colleges. I've got a marketing director. I've got a full-time our transaction coordinator, Vanessa. Jessica is kind of our team manager / operations. And then I've got Devin, who does all of our listing coordination. So he kind of prepares the property. He sends the paperwork to him. He meets the photographer and the videographer. He gets it up on MLS. He's in charge of sending the emails back and forth once we get offers and things like that. So yeah, we've got more, but I'm in a position where I can do that, and I've set it up to where we can bust at the seams a little bit, and we still have leverage. We have, if one person goes out of town, we're not screwed, which is what has happened historically.
Yeah. So your VAs, tell us again what number one, where'd you get your VAs from? My Outdesk? Yeah,
they're all my Outdesk. So one is the one that's been with me the longest. He's starting out, he did a little bit of Excel here and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and hey, put this on my calendar, and kind of just an assistant. The further we got along, I was like, you know what? You are gonna be the person that runs my top producer. Nobody else touches it. We basically email him and say, this is a seller lead, put it in as a follow-up call for this time. Here's the source. Here's their name, their email, their contact, blah, 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 blah. And he does all of it. I mean, he puts people on market snapshots. He is the only one on the team outside of me that touches top producer, because top producers, I'm kind of weird about my top producer. It's my database. That's my gold nugget.
Right.
That's how we stay in touch with people, and nobody else is allowed to touch that.
Yeah.
That's mine.
So do you, Josh, when you give him, or anybody in the team, right? So you send your guy hey, Toby Salgado, here's his contact information. He's looking to sell or he's looking to buy. Do you have different drip campaigns depending on what side of the transaction they're on?
We do, but most of the people that are going in top producer are either a referral source, a past client, an agent referral from somebody around the country, or a seller lead. We don't put a whole lot of buyer leads in top producer because top producer is I use top producer and I don't use all the campaigns. I log in literally every morning and it tells me who to call.
Yeah. Okay.
And if I follow that every day, I know I'm going to make a certain amount of money every year. And I'm going to get a certain amount of listing appointments and a certain amount of listings and a certain amount of closings. And then all of our buyer leads all go into conversion because they have a really good back end. I can't log into 17 different things. Top producer is my thing that I log into.
Okay. So, I thought you said,
for me.
Okay. I thought you said that you have a VA that works your list, works your database. Did I hear that wrong?
No. I have Ryan is at my outdesk. He's kind of an inside sales associate, but he just calls just listeds and just solds. Okay. So we sell 123 Main Street. He calls the 300 houses around it, or how many of our phone numbers he can get around it. And we just give him a certain amount of just listeds and just solds every month. Obviously, there's some we want him to call more around than others. There's properties that we go, you know what? It's not an ideal property. We're not even going to call around it. I mean, if we got a listing out of it, great. If it was a come list me, but we obviously are trying to focus in certain areas more than others.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because I'm finding that people are look, here's the deal. I have two virtual assistants, and they're both from one's from my outdesk, the other is not. One does straight research for me, and the other one actually calls from my list, guys like you, and say, hey, Josh, come on the show. And I'm going to hire another one to go out and hit my list and say, hey, who wants to put their hand up for radio? And at what point in your when did you get it? So last 4 years ago, when you're overworking that girl, did you have a VA then or no?
Clarence, when she was leaving, Clarence might have been on for maybe 6 months. I can't remember, but he's been with me the longest, and he's been with me going on somewhere right around 4 years.
Wow. Okay.
And so I probably had him, and we've had a couple of other part-time, like we hired a part-time virtual assistant for my lead buyer's agent. When she left, we had already kind of gotten rid of him, and he just wasn't doing exactly what she wanted. And so there were just things like, but at the end of the day, the virtual assistant thing, like I want, for certain positions, they have to be in the office. But for somebody that's doing research for you, those people have 4-year degrees from colleges. They speak phenomenal English.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think I pay Clarence $14,000 a year or something like that. I mean,
well, I use both my people part time. It costs me literally like I have two people on call when I need them. It costs me less than $100 a day. That's why I can pick up two more, and literally use them as an ISA. So I think everybody should. And the only reason I'm beating this one a little bit, Josh, is because having an assistant is everybody should have one, and they're cheap. My outdesk is $8.60. I think they might have raised their price to $9. But you don't have to pay workers' comp on them. You don't have to pay payroll taxes. They're straight, VA in the Philippines. They do great work. And so if you're in the audience and you're thinking that you want a VA, you're thinking that you need one, listen, go to my outdesk, and I'll tell you what, I will save you $170. Normally they charge $500 to set you up. Use my link, myoutdesk.com/superagentslive, and you'll save $170. Dude, Josh, you're an easy guy to talk to. So I dig talking to you, but we got to wrap it up. I'm going to ask you the same. Look, I'm going to ask you a crazy question. Okay. I just want to see what you say. And if you don't have anything to say, that's fine. What's something I should have asked you that I didn't ask you, Josh?
Yeah, that's one of those questions that you're not prepared for.
I know, man. And I'm sorry.
I know, right?
And some people have some.
I can tell you what our goals for 2015 are.
Let's hear them.
All right. So 262 transactions, 150 on the buyer side, 112 on the On the listing side, 84.2 million total volume. That comes to, I did about 2.8% commission, so that's like 2.35 million in GCI. Those are kind of our numbers.
And so if you do 2.3, that's so crazy. You have these like 0.2s, like 80. I wonder 83.2 million. But so if you do 2.3 GCI, in terms of
the way that was broken down was based on my average sales price on the listing side and my average sales price on the buyer side, which is different numbers.
Okay. Yep. So is it fair to, in terms of what you'll net, is it fair to say out of that 2.35, you'll net somewhere around 70% of that?
It would probably be, by the time I break down with the team and the buyer team, it's probably more like 55 to 60%.
Okay. That's cool. Dude, it's $1 million. When's the last time you made $1 million, Josh?
Not this year. I was close, but not this year.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the most I ever made, and I literally paid taxes on, was $982. And writing that check to the IRS hurt.
It hurts, but the good thing is, other people have bigger problems than that. If you're paying if you're stroking that kind of money, you're making some good money also.
Yeah.
So
those are
pros and cons of all of it.
Oh, for sure.
First world problems.
Exactly right. Okay, so here's the same 3 questions I ask everybody. So for you, Josh, you've had this incredible rise to success. You've only been, you really honestly haven't been in real estate that long. You started in 2006. Who's been your mentor?
It's probably a little bit cliche, but I'd say over the last 5 years, being in Gary Taylor's mastermind for his top 100 agents, there's a lot of people in there that are doing bigger business than I am.
Oh yeah.
But Gary's, him just seeing what he's done in the real estate industry in such a small amount of time compared to all the other national companies.
Yep.
He's probably one of my bigger mentors. And he's the kind of person I can walk into Keller Williams International in Austin and have a real sit down personal conversation with him.
Yeah. Well, and that's so many people come on my show, and when we talk about, what I want to accomplish this year, next year, a lot of people go, hey, I want to make that $1 million to get in that mastermind. So you are breathing rare air in that group. I'm going to ask for a book. I always ask for a book recommendation. So here's the setup, Josh. I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy today?
The best.
No Gary's books. No Gary's books.
Okay. I was going to say the one thing because I really like that book because it's so easy. What one book? The books I've got a lot of good books. The books I'm reading the 2 books I'm reading right now are actually The Bulletproof Diet and Money, Tony Robbins' new book.
I'm in the middle of that one right now. I'm in the middle of Tony Robbins' new book, Money.
And they're both really good.
Yeah, both. I don't know about the diet one, but yeah, listen, the money one is good. So, hey, everybody in the audience, if you want to get a copy of that, get a free copy on us, use our link, audibletrial.com/superagentslive. My last question for you, Josh, is do you have a personal habit that you feel has contributed to your success?
Yeah, I've just got kind of ridiculous work ethic. So I wake up at 4:42 every day, and I come to the office. I know some people go work out and then go to the office. I get to the office at 5:30 every morning, and I've got 3 hours of just getting shit done before everybody else gets to the office. It's kind of my quiet time. I can listen to music. I can clean out emails. I can really focus on what I need to do for that day, and it just gives me, it's kind of my extra time, and then I go work out in the afternoons. So I'll be working out in the next hour and a half or 2 hours. So
that's awesome.
That's my one thing is I'm not the smart. I'm never going to be the smartest person in the room, but I'll outwork anybody in the room.
That's awesome.
That's partly growing up in the country and partly being in the military.
Yeah,
how
no.
great that is.
That I'll tell you that early morning routine. If you can do, I mean, that is a consistent thing among, the 100 people sitting in Gary Keller's, mastermind circle. I'll bet you 95% of those people are up early in the morning. That's just something that just
Sure.
everybody does. And if you look at the people who are, not successful, those are the people getting into the office at 9:02, right? They're just like, or not coming in at all. So listen, Josh, this has been a wonderful conversation. I always suggest to my audience, if they've gotten anything out of this, to reach out and say thank you. And look, maybe someone wants to join your team. Where can people find you?
You can go to our website is joshandersonrealestate.com. Facebook page is facebook.com/Nashville, Tennessee Real Estate, all spelled out. We'd love the opportunity if we can help people around the country as far as referrals. If somebody has questions after this, they can certainly shoot me an email or
That's
call
awesome.
me.
And listen, for everybody, if you're out there, you're walking your dog, you're riding your bike, driving your car, all the stuff will be on the show notes at Super Agents Live. So listen, hey Josh, I'll be the first guy to start the thank you train. Thanks, man. I know you're busy. You're shooting for 2.3 million in GCI, so I appreciate you taking time out and coming on and educating my audience.
Awesome. I appreciate the opportunity. Give me a shout. Shoot me a text for family reunion stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I'll put you on the list.
When you get there.
All right, bud.
Awesome.
Talk soon.
Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.
Let's go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, yo. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15%